many as 3 million Americans have type 1 diabetes, and they're looking for a cure. I'm Jill Horner. This is Comcast News Makers. With me this hour is Scott Kasper. He's the Vice President of the Board for the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation, South Jersey chapter. Thanks for being with us, Scott.
Thank you for having me.
Talk to us a little bit about type 1 or juvenile diabetes, because we hear of millions of Americans living with diabetes, but there are different types.
Right. Type 1 diabetes essentially results from the body's inability to produce insulin. Insulin is what every person needs to help metabolize sugar, glucose, from the food that we eat. Without insulin, the sugar can't make its way from the bloodstream into the cells, and as a result causes fluctuations in blood sugar that have all kinds of health ramifications later in life and more immediately in certain types of emergencies. It's a little bit different from type 2 diabetes, which can be managed by diet, by exercise, and sometimes by medications orally. Type 1 diabetics are insulin dependent. They need to take insulin every day, throughout the entire day, and every time they eat. And it's something that they will have for life. Right now there is no cure. We're working very hard toward finding a cure, which is why I'm here. But as it stands right now, there is no cure, and that's just something that these kids and kids who become adults with type 1 diabetes will have to live with.
And that's a really interesting point, because for you personally, 2 of your children have been diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, but you have another family member that wasn't diagnosed until she was an adult.
That's correct. My mom has type 1 diabetes as well. She was diagnosed in her 60s, which is unusual for an adult to be diagnosed type 1. So I guess it's just, this is my family. It's what we're about.
It's what you're about, but it's also what the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation is about. Talk to us a little bit about the foundation and the work that they do throughout the year. Well,
the JDRF, our mission is to raise money to fund the finding of a cure for type 1 diabetes. Across the world, aside from the United States government, JDRF is the largest funder of research for type 1 diabetes, for its therapies and for the cure. We do things throughout the year to raise money, and individuals, families, companies. We have lots of schools who are involved in doing kids walks, all aimed at helping to raise the money that we need to continue the funding for research.
And we'll get into your special events that help to do that in just a second. But in working toward a cure, what does this mean for you as a family?
Well, every day is a challenge. I have a 7-year-old son and a 13-year-old son who have type 1 diabetes, and every single day presents challenges to them. My youngest son can't make decisions on his own about what he eats or how much insulin he needs to take. And so it's a continual challenge at school to educate his teachers, to educate the nurses. My oldest son is into all kinds of sports. It's not as easy as letting him loose on the lacrosse field. His coach needs to know what's going on. We need to make constant adjustments while he's playing sports. Things that normal kids, and I hate to use the word normal because my kids are very normal, but kids without type 1 diabetes, they just go. They don't have to think about these things. My kids need to think about these things every single decision that they make, every activity that they do, because if they don't plan properly, it's a life-threatening emergency that could result.
But we can all make a difference through some upcoming fundraisers, and I want to talk quickly about those. You have an upcoming gala. This is happening on April 9th. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Our gala is a great event. It's a black tie event. It's held at the Westin Hotel in Mount Laurel. We have people who come from all over the South Jersey community, people who have type 1 diabetes in their families, companies who are generous to sponsor research towards type 1 diabetes. We have a silent auction, which raises a significant amount of money, so even folks who can't be there can certainly help by contributing goods or services. We get together and we let it all hang loose for a night. We party around type 1 diabetes.
All right, thank you very much, Scott. And that's just one of the fundraisers. You have a golf tournament in June, the walk in October. People can visit the website for more information. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
We've been talking with Scott Kasper. I'm Jill Horner for Comcast News Makers.